I'm going to zoom in on two characters who've got myself on the left and my demo buddy Matt on the right. So I'm simulating what I would be doing at work. So Matt and I, we might be in a connection where we want to meet, and we do frequently meet, and sometimes we take notes together where we're going through tasks. Maybe it's a one-on-one, and I'm sort of maybe in as manager and covering off certain things. So I want to actually have a persistent place where Matt and I can take notes together and work together. And this is where, within my chat with Matt, I'm going to add a loop. And if this is the first time you've seen it, or maybe you've forgotten that it was there, this is why loop isn't being used so much, because it's that tiny little unassuming thing at the bottom of chat, which probably just appeared without much fanfare. And maybe people didn't introduce an organization to it, but there it is. Add a loop to a conversation. And this box has to be empty too, by the way. If I go to add a loop and it's already got text in it, then I don't have the ability to add the loop. So let's do that. We'll go through. I'm going to add a loop here for Matt and myself. I'll just start off with a paragraph. Those are a few different choices I can use to start off, the components that we use for loop. And at this stage, it is just beginning to set itself up to save that file and name it. I'll give this a name, and it'll be one-on-one meetings with Matt and Darrell. Now, that might be obvious because of where it is, but I gave it that name because when I go back and have a look for it as a file, or when it turns up in other places that we might be collaborating, then I'll know where it's going to be. I could do this. I could change the permissions on the link, so this is going to be just between Matt and I. That feels like it's appropriate. Why is that tiny? Let's try that again. Oh, wow. Okay. First time I've seen that, maybe because I'm zoomed in. Familiar looking permissions box, all right? It's what we see for SharePoint and OneDrive, but I'm going to put this as people currently in the chat. So that means that Matt and myself, we're not going to share it beyond our chat, and it's not going to be able to be edited or viewed by other people. And that sets the permission for the link. Got it. Okay, so what am I going to do here? Well, it's not available for Matt yet, so I will send it because I want to start collaborating with Matt. I don't want him sitting there waiting while, can you not see this yet? No, I can't. Oh, that's right. I forgot to send the loop in the chat. So now that I've done that, you can see that Matt is in there now too. He has the file open. Here it is over here. Now, what we'd both do, and this is a feature that is rolling out to our organizations, is pin that to the chat. So that means just like we'll be able to pin other chats, but I'm pinning the loop so that it's always available and easy to find in that stream of conversation that Bex had talked about earlier. But easier to do that on a one-on-one basis, isn't it, from that perspective? So I would say, hey, Matt, you should probably do the same just so that we can both see it. Well, I forgot, actually. There you go. When I pin it, it's pinned there for him as well. So that's a good point. So how would I use this? Well, in one sense, I could use this as a running list of notes. So I've actually found, as I've used this with people at work and by setting up a loop for each of us in our one-on-one chats, that I tend to have this section called meeting notes. And I'm all into styles and formatting, so I like to give that a heading. And then what I end up doing is, as I start a note, I'll always put it at the top of that section. I'll use /, I'll hit date, date, and then that immediately puts in an option there to add today. And then I'll just start taking notes. So maybe that'll be a bullet pointed list, / bullet. And then we'll just start jotting our ideas down. Idea 1, thing 2, etc., etc. Now that's a relative date, so it means that when I come back a couple of days later, a week later or whatever, then that's going to be whatever that date was, and it'll also tell me how many days have passed since that. And so the next time that I do that, I'll just give it a bit more space, do the same thing, And I'm able to continue to use that as a rolling list of notes that we have together. None of this scrambling around to find a shared OneNote. And look, I'm still a fan of OneNote, but I'm not a fan of its syncing performance. I often am tapping my fingers waiting for things to sync. So I'm excited to use this. Now, what else could I do here? I'll just finish off on this before we bust out into breakout groups. Forward slash, I reckon that it would be good to have a task list. So this is maybe follow-up tasks that might come out of our conversations and our notes. And it can be a rolling task list, swap it out, complete it, make it disappear, whatever. But this is a table, and I can add a task name, task 1, and then assign that to Matt. So I've used an at symbol to get Matt, and now Matt is mentioned in there as a task. I could give him a week to complete that one. And over here, Matt will also, if he wasn't in this chat right now, he's also going to get a notification to say that you were mentioned within that task list or that loop experience. So there's a number of different other things that I'm starting to do and use within there, different components, tables, and all sorts of things. But the point is that it's a space that's really simple for us to both get to. We're not hunting and searching and pecking and thinking, okay, what is it? Where is it? We're not waiting for synchronization to catch up. And lots of benefits. But like Bex had said, I want to be able to see us to add a tab for a loop, so that it's not a pinned thing, because we might want to use the pin chat for some other feature. We only get to pin one thing, but I want to be able to add a tab. And what I think I saw, one of our people at work had tried to use the website tab as a way of taking the link to the loop and adding it to the website tab. And yeah, the thing about the website tab is that it doesn't necessarily sign you in all seamlessly. So that doesn't work so well. It means that each time we open up the tab, it doesn't sense that we're signed into Teams and just pass us through to the loop. So I want to see a loop app there for a tab, and I think that would make it far easier for one-on-one chats, group chats, and certainly we'll see a loop experience come into the channel.